I think one of my favorite video game series has to be the Monster Prom series. It's very fun, joking, and it's definitely a good game to play with friends. So today we're going to be ranking the main characters in Monster Prom, the 42 main characters. We're going to be ranking them based on the way their monster is adapted, their clothes, and colors. Mind you, there will only be one secret character that will be counted, which is the Interdimensional Prince, only because they're main characters. Starting off with number 42, Finn. Now, I don't think any character looks bad in these games. I think they all look great. However, Finn is the worst of all. He's got a weird face, and it works since he's a fish man just wearing a suit. He is pretty awkward and has the lame personality and is a nice character within the game, but overall to many characters, he just doesn't stand near them. There's characters like Zoe and Oz who've been there from the start, but then you just have Finn dropped in randomly and, well, he doesn't fit with anybody else. Number 41, Noodles. Now, this is a crazy placement for this character because he clearly is one of the funniest characters in the game. Of course, he beats the norm of the way he looks. I think he's a funny character design, and I love the way his green colors work for him. Heck, the hat even adds a bit of personality along with the stupid face. Yet it's just the same with Finn. There are many characters that are better than him, and overall, there are a lot of characters within the game he appears, Monster Prom 2, that I would use. There's characters, again, like Zoe, and then you even have Doug. I would rather use these characters than someone like Noodles. Although he does get his shop in the third game, which is pretty cool. Overall, though, not that very good. Number 40, Amira. I think out of the first four main characters, Amira is probably the most unique. That doesn't mean she's the best, however. She's the only character who's not directly a type of monster, but rather has the concept of one being a character with fire hair, and I think it's pretty cool. Also, I think her super simple design is pretty good. The black dress and the leggings, along with her red jacket, fits super well, conveying the theme of fire. However, though, compared to other characters, and even compared to the starting four, she's not that unique. Yes, her monster is cool and she does convey her theme, but compared to Oz, Frankie, and Brian, she's just not that good. Number 39, Oz. I think Oz being a shadowy ink-based being is super cool, and he even has his little babies all across his body. I think his basic yellow shirt also fits super well, although his character design is pretty simple, making him drop down lower. I think he's pretty decent. Number 38, Miranda. Gosh, I really hate those air people just like Miranda. Stupid air people. Anyways, she's a princess, and that shows within her character, clearly inspired by Ariel, but with the character traits of Ursula. I do think it's weird, though, that she has one type of fin thing on her ear, and then one stripe of white going down her. Although her design is pretty good, and I think her character is overall pretty good, decent. I do think, though, that some of her parts of her character are kind of lacking, and it's mostly because she was only in the first game as one of the dateables, and then she lost that status and didn't really come back much. She was in the third game, and to my knowledge, I don't even know if she was in the second or fourth game. Well, she's in the fourth game, I think. But overall, she's not that interesting compared to many of the other characters. Her character, surprisingly for being a water creature, feels shallow. Number 37, Liam. I honestly found it very weird that I put Liam super low. Overall, though, I think he's one of the best characters in the game, but the design doesn't scale that high. He wears normal hipster clothing, and it's kind of lame. Also, him being a vampire and not having natural burns across his body seems kind of weird. You'd think even a hipster himself would hate the sun because, of course, he's a vampire, and he does have a fear of the sun, yet there are many scenes where he's outside without any protection. Maybe he has some sunscreen I don't know about. Number 36, Damien. I think Damien has a great design and represents his character well. Although his character is pretty destructive, but there are better destructive characters in the future, like Dahlia and Omen, I think overall he's okay. It's sad though that he got bumped down as a playable character after 2 games of being dateable. Number 35, Sawyer. Honestly, I think Sawyer's okay. The design is pretty good, but we've seen stuff that are kind of simple and get that done right. But Sawyer kind of seems a little complicated and doesn't get it done right. Overall, though, I think that Sawyer's just kind of uninteresting as a playable character and seems decent at best. Maybe if Sawyer was dateable, in one of the mainline, if he was dateable. Number 34, Bradflemet. Brad Pitt is a decent character, being a large fluffy goat with a tank top. Overall, though, there's really nothing to this character, and that's what loses me. Character design is good, but there's really no personality showing. Number 33, Dahlia. I think Dahlia looks great. Being in the second game, compared to other Jadables, she's a fresh start. Of course, she is in the first game as well as a secret character, but still, she's huge and blue, along with many scratches across her body, and even wearing casual track wear, and that gives a lot of personality to her character, showing she's fierce, strong, and active, and I like that. I think she fits in the game perfect, but it's sad that she had to be so low. Number 32, the Interdimensional Prince. He's perfect for in-game standards, but overall, though, his character is just lame. He's not a mainline dateable, and he's not even, something major within the games. He's just a recurring pop-up character that can be secretly dated. And I think that's pretty cool. I think his outfit also matches his character perfectly, and I love the way that they change his design throughout each game. I think it's pretty nice. And I think he's also a little fun secret that you can find whenever he pops up in each game. Overall, he's a pretty decent character, but because he's not a mainline character, and because he's not, this big, expansive character, being the same in most of the games, he's pretty low here. Number 31, Adrian. He looks super cool and would be at the top of the list if it wasn't for the fact that this game is a dating sim. He's another fish character, and he seems to be a type of knight with a longsword and some awesome golden armor, and I think it's amazing. However, again, this game is a dating sim. I think one dating sim that got the type of knight character perfectly was Date Everything. The Date Everything video is probably going to drop next month. I didn't have time this month to make it. But I think Titus from that game presents a knight perfectly. However, Adrian presents a knight as it is, but doesn't really encompass that within something like Monster Prom. You get what I'm saying? Number 30, Stu. I think Stu's character design fits him perfectly. He clearly resembles a basement dweller mixed with a stoner. And I think that works considering he's a type of mossy man creature. Nobody else is also like this, and I think that's pretty cool. Overall, though, he's a pretty decent character, and he's overall just Who's better for a moss character in the comments? Let me know. Man Thing or Swamp Thing? Number 29, Milo. Milo's supposed to be a Reaper, and I honestly think that their design is pretty good. However, their design doesn't fit the theme of a Reaper much, being more of a soft type of character and being more online. And it reminds me a lot of Lux from Date Everything. Again, one of my other favorite video games. However, unlike Lux, he's pretty bearable, right? Milo is, decent character, and then Lux is annoying and is in my F tier for that video. Again, probably coming out next month. Number 28 and 26, the Coven in order of faith, hope, and joy. I think all the Coven members are pretty cool being gothic witches, and I overall think that Joy expanding the story of said Coven in the, second game is pretty good. We also get to meet Evil Joy and Evil Faith, I think it is, in the third game. And I thought that was pretty interesting, but it's honestly a little surprising that Evil Hope wasn't one of them. Overall, though, they're like some kind of show. It's a little weird the way the Coven works because they are real people and they do real things, but they're kind of like a show themselves. Like they're an anime. They genuinely do real acting, they do real show stuff. It's honestly a little weird with the way it's done. Number 25, Nico. Nico is the Mimic, and I think having him as a cosplayer is probably one of the best things this series has done. Especially because, he's in the best fitting game for him, MonsterCon. I do think, though, that Nico being the chest and him being like the tongue from the chest is, again, another cool thing. He has so many outfits, so we're going to go over every single one. All of his outfits are Feather Sona, Pancake, Anime, Fursuit, Fish, Fungible Fungus, Scribble Shroom, Phoenix Wright, a Barbarian, a Cowboy, Dio Brando, a Doctor, the Joker, Joy, a JRPG-esque outfit, Liam, Light Yagami, a Magical Girl suit, a Maid suit, a Noir Detective suit, Freerin, Morrigan, the Pancake Suit, the Red Ranger, a Ronin, Spock, Steampunk, Summer, Villain, Wizard, and Crab. He would definitely be at the top of my list if we weren't ranking costumes. We are solely ranking on character, which is why he's at the bottom. His costumes, though, would have brought him up like crazy. But again, costumes are not part of the main character. Just because Nico is a cosplayer, the cosplays definitely brought him up in the ranking, but I can't just count the costumes all to Nico because he would have definitely been in the number one spot if I was just counting him and his costumes, but then not letting anybody else use costumes. Number 24, Warm Walter. Warm Walter is sweets, and like actual sweets, he's a type of cake or bread type of thing. He looks pretty chill and definitely shows with the way he's dressed. Open tie, decent clothing, and it's pretty nice. I also like the way that his hair is a croissant mixed in with a couple sprinkles. It's pretty decent, and overall, just a chill character. Number 23, Glitch. Glitch is the only fully flat character and works as more as a type of internet lore thing more than being based on something that actually exists as a monster. And he definitely reminds me a lot of Game & Watch, being a flat, black type of shadowy character. Coming from a digital world. I think it's pretty decent. I also love that there's a lot of eyes scattered across his shadowy body, and it gives the character definitely a better feel. Overall, though, we can see how Glitch is definitely portrayed as this type of chill yet scary type of being, but overall, though, there's nothing else related to his character, since it's just a playable character and not one of the dateables. Number 22. This is Juan, the Latino magical cat that comes from the first game. Although he's never shown, he's definitely shown in the second game where he runs a bar. However, in Monster Road Trip, this is what he looks like. He's giant, he's buff, and he's playable. He definitely got a huge growth spurt from Monster Prom 2. Number 21, Scott Howell. He's such an idiot, but I think it really works well for his character. The fact that he's a werewolf and he has this type of bro attitude to him just gives him a type of, stupid, fun dog type of vibe. And I think it's really cool. I also think him being associated with the wolf pack makes this even better. I overall think that he's just super cool. The varsity jacket also works really well with his character. But then again, Wolfpack doesn't even have said varsity jacket alongside him, and it just looks a little weird. Number 20, Brian. I think Brian, being a basic character and overall normal rep for a zombie, pretty fits well. Also, his name is a clear pun on the word brain, and then Brian swapping it around, of course, because that's what zombies eat. Also, I think that he's just, pretty cool with the way his skin decays across his body. I think it's pretty unique, and I think it's, pretty decent. Number 19, the Lamb. I think the Lamb being a collab character is super funny, and it's also a actual natural character you can get, other than them having to be, a secret character like Modius in the fourth game. Or I think Modius is in the fourth game. Correct me if I'm wrong. They don't necessarily fit into the vibe of the Monster Road Trip game. But they do have some cool events where you can actually talk to the what are they called again? I think they're like cult members, worshippers, whatever you want to call them. You get to talk to them within the game, which is also pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. Overall though, the Lamb is a decent character. I wish they were playable instead though. I think it would have been more fun if I got to play as the Lamb. They do have some funny side interactions though with Polly and Scott. Number 18, Mamimi. I think Mamimi could have represented an Oni better, like the way Dahlia did, but just doesn't represent one the right way. I understand why they didn't make the playable character like this, though. I think the triple eyes, underbite tusks, puffer, and the sided shirt work really nice, giving her the chill attitude for her character. I really wish she was a dateable character instead of a playable one. Even if with her decent, pretty basic design, I think her character could have been something more, like the way they adapted Aravi, or the way they even adapt Dahlia. I think she could have been way more. Number 17, Suzanne. I think Suzanne works great as an elemental character, having the biker vibe, but also having the storm cloud hair and the electricity coming off of her, along with the blue skin. However, I don't think she should have been playable, but rather would have definitely worked way better as a dateable. She could have taken the same spot from Dahlia, and then they could have made Dahlia playable in the second game. But I do think that she should have been a main dateable within the future games. Hopefully she comes back if they ever do another fifth game. But I think that she should have been dateable, and there is a lot more to her character that we could discover. Number 16, Abdu. Abdul is based on a mummy, and I really like the way that it's not just fully wrapped around him, but instead you can actually see some of the black decaying body that he has. And I think it's pretty cool. I also think it's a great choice to make him have a skater dude personality, along with even having the Ankh on his body. Um, I think it's really cool. I think Abdul fits perfectly within the second game, and I do think that he is great as a playable character. Number 15, Calculester. Calculester is the only non organic character within the game, and he's fully a robot, and I think that's pretty cool. I also think it's a bit funnier that his face is constantly sideways, and that there's a part of his body that actually represents his organs and where a human heart would be. Calculester is always trying to find out how the actual organic life forms work and trying to be like them, and I think his interactions with certain characters are pretty funny. Number 14, Vera. I didn't expect Vera to have the personality she does. I thought since that she was a Medusa creature, she would be more timid, scared, and nervous that she would freeze people. But the series takes an entire 180 with this and decides to make her cunning, edgy, murderous, and very, very rich. And honestly, I think it fits her pretty well. Number 13, Sadie. Sadie worked many jobs in Monster Road Trip, and I think adding her to the fourth game was pretty cool. She's also supposed to be based on Sadako from the Ringo or Ringu. And I think that her being a type of more nervous and reserved character is pretty cool, and it's definitely portrayed really well in the Monster Prom series. Number 12, Aravi the Slayer. She's not necessarily a monster, but she's based on what an RPG protagonist would be like. In the first game, she's focused on taking down monsters and gaining XP, while in the second game, she's a main dateable and having a cursed necklace join her named Hex. I think her cloak looks super cool along with different tools surrounding her, and her design in Monster Camp is way more chill and shows her relaxed attitude, and I think it's also really nice that in MonsterCon we got her to be a playable character. Number 11, Valerie. Valerie is the shopkeeper in the first game and is playable in the next couple. I think having ripped clothing, the pinned jean jacket works really well, showing she's natural, but it has a bit of a shady side to her, being the shopkeeper, of course. And the things that she sells are very, very questionable. Number 10, Jacqueline. Jacqueline is the pumpkin girl and works super well in Monster Road Trip, having a great voice acting and super cool outfit. Overall, with her being basic in her design, she works well, having a cozy atmosphere. I also did forget to mention that she was in Monster Camp, which is the game that she debuted in, and she was okay in that game, although Monster Road Trip definitely did a better character design for her. Number 9, Vicky. Vicky looks super cool and is my favorite out of the starting four characters, and she's the Frankenstein's monster. There are a couple moments within the first game that actually are pretty cool, like when she grabs onto the big breaker box in the bathroom and starts charging herself up. I thought that was pretty funny. Overall, though, against many of the other characters, there's a lot more to go on with Frankie. She looks cooler, there's way more personality within her, and it just makes her overall a better starting character. Number 8 and 7, the Moths, Hazel, and Mossman. Hazel is playable in the third game, while Mossman is playable in the fourth, but was introduced in the second. I think Hazel's super cool, and I love the colors that work for them. While Mossman hasn't been shown to have much in the second game, but in the fourth game, he was shown to have a bigger personality. And also, I love the fact that he dresses up like Joker from Persona. I think that's really cool. Number 6, Polly. Polly's another character that changes her design a lot, having multiple different outfits. However, we're not going to go over her outfits here. I also think making her a major character in Monster Road Trip worked really well, and I love the interactions that she has with the player and Doug. I also love the way that she has the loose clothing, messy type of wear and the jewelry on her to show how she's a type of party person and that she's outgoing and she's always trying to have fun. And I think that's definitely conveyed really well within her character. Number 5, Doug. I think Doug was okay being playable for a bit until they made him a dateable, and I think the decision to make him one of the dateable characters was amazing because it definitely showed and fleshed out his character. He's nerdy, gelatin cube, and I like the way that they have the partial skeletal system floating through him, as well as the short sword going through his skull. I love the way that they did him in the fourth game, and they definitely revamped him from the way he was in the second game. Number 4, Zoe. Now, I will say this, Zoe is my probably favorite character out of the entire series as a dateable. The other two that are coming up are not as good as Zoe, right? I went for Zoe in every single game that she was in, playable or dateable. That's the character I went for first. Zoe is one of my favorite characters. She's dateable in the first and the fourth game, and then she's playable in the second and the third. She was an eldritch being turned into this type of human fangirlish type of character, and there's a lot going on with her, being a big fangirl, writing fanfics, and even having some cosplays within her character within MonsterCon 4, along with her being a bit awkward in the first game. I think the way that they evolved her character over time is super well done. Number 3, April 1st. April is the clown character and takes on the persona of a streamer, along with showing many of her kept hidden emotions through her many balloon animals. I also think that it was a bit funny to make her some type of sort of assassin-like character, but it also kind of plays in her story a bit too much and just kind of drives away from the super big streamer personality. Number 2, Omen. Omen used to be a Dark Lord until she was put into an Iron Maiden and now only has one arm. Liam has her going through a redemption program to become a good person again, and I love the way that the redemption program is done. It pops up a lot through the fourth game, and I think it's pretty good. As well as the Iron Maiden being designed to be a giant, large, spiked jacket. It looks pretty villainous and definitely shows what type of character Omen is. And in our number 1 spot, we have my favorite playable character released in Monster Camp, and has only been playable one time, Whiskey. Whiskey is a super cool character and reminds me a lot of Fabio Sparklemane from Fortnite. I think Whiskey's such an odd name for him, but it works really well. He's got this biker persona going for him, and his magical hair is being formed through type of magical dust. I think he looks super cool, and his different cards within the game are amazing. So that's my ranking of all the Monster Prom characters. Now, the Date Everything video should come out next month because I have a bunch of that already recorded. But of course, it was nearing the end of the month, so I had to do a backup video. And I'm going to start having those from now on. Different backup videos, just in case. Anyways, that's going to be it for now. Like, subscribe, and play fighting games.